Welcome again to Joe Stunner Boxing. Sean McCOMB wins the unanimous decision over Ben Crocker. Improves to 20 wins with 5 KOs, 2 defeats and no draws. He picks up the IBF European super lightweight title. It's not the real EBU title. The real European title is the EBU title, but it gets you a ranking, I suppose, in the IBF. So it's worth having. And Ben Crocker, the opponent, former champ, he was undefeated. He had 14 wins going in with a draw. His draw was in his last fight, actually. It was a split draw over 10, over Tien and Bradley, who was undefeated also, in 10, I think it was. Not a big hitter, Ben Crocker. In his 14 wins, he's got two stoppages. But this fight, although it petered out into being not a particularly exciting fight, it nevertheless had a very explosive beginning, actually, a surprising beginning, one that I certainly wouldn't have predicted, because Ben Crocker heavily floored Sean McComb after a couple of minutes. And it was McComb is a southpaw, very, very, very crafty, loves to pinch the rounds. Crocker, a sort of come forward, very textbook, and perhaps lacks a little bit of imagination, but he didn't really need it in that first couple of minutes because he landed a orthodox right hand which sort of stood McComb up, and then a swooping left hook that actually I thought he'd flattened McComb, because McComb hit the floor heavy and then sort of bounced over onto his side and got up, I thought, too quickly. I mean, it was a heavy knockdown. I think a heavier puncher than Crocker would have perhaps knocked out McComb. McComb probably wouldn't have recovered, but he was able to. In the second round, I thought was close. Perhaps Crocker pinched it. Could have gone for McComb. But by the middle rounds, I think Crocker's lack of imagination was showing. And when you've got two fighters who have very specific styles, Crocker being that, conventional textbook, straight up and down sort of boxer, and then you've got someone who is the opposition is a southpaw, very slick, stylish southpaw who likes to sort of slip and slide and pop away and counterpunch definitely. If the rounds are close, you score it. I always think you score it on, who is imposing their style more on the opponent. And by the middle rounds, I thought McComb was doing that. I thought Crocker was just not doing enough work. He was waiting too long. He was waiting too long. McComb is so crafty. Maybe Crocker thought, when do I let my hands go? Someone like McComb is going to make you second guess yourself, because you're going to get countered, or you risk getting countered. Even though he doesn't hit that hard, it can be death by 1,000 cuts or 1,000 punches. And McComb kind of put Crocker in his box. Do you know what I mean? Contained that, survived that first round scare, and then sort of came back and was able to sort of impose his will, his style onto the fight, using some nice footwork. Again, the southpaw stance, did that bother Crocker? No, I don't think it did. I think it was really just a case of McComb having a little bit too much variety, perhaps a higher ring IQ. And as a result, he sort of ran out a winner. I think all three judges had it 96-93, which I think it sounds about right. I think I probably had it. I stopped scoring after about 8 rounds, but I'd 7 or 8 rounds. This was a 10-rounder, but that sounds about right. 7 rounds to 3 with a 10-8 in the first for Crocker. Yeah, that sounds about right. But McComb, if you look at McComb's record, I mean, he had that fight with Arnold Barbosa Jr. last year, over a year ago now, and he lost a split decision. That, to me, that was a clear victory for McComb. He completely outboxed Arnold Barbosa Jr. Was it a robbery? I don't even like using that word, although occasionally I do use it, but let's just say it was a very, very controversial decision. And I definitely thought that McComb won that fight quite clearly. Having said that, if you look at the other side of McCOMB, you know, the defeats, believe it or not, he was actually stopped back in 2021 by Gavin Gwynn in 7 rounds. He was cut. I think there was he just got stopped, and he was, you know, Gavin Gwynn is a decent fighter. I think he's in his mid-30s now. Gavin Gwynn, past his best, but he's got 18 wins and only 4 KOs and 4 defeats and a draw. But he was Commonwealth and British lightweight champ, so he had a good domestic level, Commonwealth level run. But recently, he got Mark Chamberlain stopped him in 4 rounds. That was a bad defeat, and then he lost a unanimous decision, which was, I think, heavily disputed, to Cameron Viong. I think they're going to fight again. So perhaps he's got something left, but that looks really good. That stoppage win over McComb looks really good on his record. But, you know, as I've said before, you don't judge someone on a defeat. It's how they come back. And certainly McComb proved himself by coming back and, in my opinion, beating Barbosa. He's had to drop back down over the last year or so. And this, I think, was his chance to again prove against an undefeated fighter, albeit a domestic level one, that he belongs in higher company. Now he's got the IBF super lightweight title, maybe the IBF European super lightweight title. He'll get a ranking, and he might get another big opportunity. I think he's 33, so the clock's ticking, I suppose. Crocker is 31 as well. I thought he was younger, but he's actually old. I thought both these guys were younger than they are, but he's 31, Crocker. So Crocker's had very much a slow burning career. He needed this win really to push on. But he's got ability. I mean, he can certainly fight it. He's won has he won another one of those trinket belts? I'm not even sure whether he has or not. But this was his chance to get a win over a guy who is pretty decent. Certainly a fringe world level, I'd call McComb, and it didn't happen. So it's the old snakes and ladders thing. Down you go to the start again, and yeah, he might be a member of the sort of Who Needs Him club, Crocker. But he can fight a bit, and maybe go down to British level and try and do things on the domestic scene. Maybe that'll be a better objective, perhaps. For McComb, yeah, it's got to be he won't get a world title shot because he's another member of the Who Needs Him club. But good fighter, crafty, will pinch rounds off anyone, doesn't hit hard, and can be hurt. So yeah, you know, I'd say fringe contender, top 20, super lightweight. We'll see what the future has for him. Did you see this fight? What did you think of it? I didn't think it was particularly exciting, but it was more intriguing than exciting. But to beat McComb, you're going to have a plan A, B, and C, because he is a crafty so-and-so who will outpoint you without you realising it sometimes. Anyway, let me know what you think. Comments below, please. If you like the video, hit the like button and subscribe to the channel if you're new. Spread the word about Joe Stunner Boxing. Hope you're having a nice Sunday and enjoy the rest of your day. I will catch you later. Bye for now.